opinion, Aaron, you will become Nephilim. You will become Gibborim, just like Nimrod. You will become the seed of the serpent. And that's why the judgment is made out with such severity and punitively, without a hint of grace and mercy.
L.A., hold right there. That's a good place for us to pick up on the other side of the break. Be sure to go to L.A. Marzulli's website at lamarzulli.net and order your copy of On the Trail of the Nephilim. You can visit our website and find out more about Epic Voyages Radio on epicvoyagers.com or visit our YouTube channel at Epic Voyagers for free video presentations. We'll be right back after this short break. Our guest tonight is L.A. Marzulli, author, explorer, and researcher. His newest book, On the Trail of the Nephilim, is due out any day, and the host of the Watcher series, Watcher 6. You can call our toll-free number at 1-888-919-2355. That's 1-888-919-2355. L.A., we're looking at end time scenarios here. In your documentary video presentations on Watchers, when you're doing that, you've got Watchers 1 through 5 that's had a phenomenal response, and you have Watcher 6 coming out here very soon. Tell us a little bit about Watcher 6.
Well, Watcher 6, I think, will be landmark because it in some ways it's really meant to go with On the Trail of the Nephilim. The two titles really complement each other very well. On the Trail of the Nephilim, The Secret Cosmic War, the entire trip to Peru was we have a video documentary of that, but with my good friend and partner Richard Shaw, it's not your typical videography stuff. The editing's incredible, the music behind it, the drama behind the film, and it really documents what we did, what we saw, where we went. It's just incredible. And it shows. I've got still pictures of over 120 pictures, full color print. By the way, the book is an oversized book, 8.5 and 11 by 11. So it's an oversized book, so you can really see the pictures and really, you get your money's worth here. 120 full color photos. Well, the DVD complements that, and because you're seeing to see things move. You'll see us pick up the skulls and weigh them and measure them and talk about them and handle them. You'll watch us explore places like in Sacsayhuaman, Ouattara, where we saw this mummy and high up in the foothills of the Andes, 7,000 feet above sea level, and this mummy with a very elongated head, which just made no sense to us at all. The head was almost as large as the torso, and we believe that this is not the result of hydrocephalia, some sort of disease, something else. And this, of course, where the work of forensic anthropologists really comes into focus, because a man trained that way can look at that and say, well, this is hydrocephalia, or say, no, I've never seen anything like this. We believe, of course, it'll be the latter. So Watcher 6, in my opinion, is one of the most interesting of all the Watcher series. And it'll be out, actually, I think, next week. We should be getting them in our hands. We'll probably start shipping next week.
Now, in Watcher 6, are you specifically looking at the Nephilim in Peru? Do you have any other subjects on Watcher 6? I know in Watcher 5 series.
Watcher 6. Yeah, usually we hop around to like 5 or 6 different subjects. With Watcher 6, it's an exclusive. It's all about the Nephilim in Peru, what we saw there, these ancient megalithic structures, how it ties back into this ancient grid system, which may have been used to enslave the planet the days of Noah by the fallen one. And then the fallen one trying to recreate the grid system over and over and over again. And finally, here in modernity, Aaron, he's recreated it with the satellite system. He's allowed us to do that. And the grid is back, and it will be used, unfortunately, by the Antichrist to bring the enslavement of every human being on the planet. And we know that because you won't be able to buy, sell, or trade without the mark. And that's what we discovered.
And this genetic mark that you're seeing in the Nephilim and the reproduction capabilities that they had, with what is going on now, L.A., you're saying that it's possible to find yourself in this system that could draw you into the one world government type of system that that you think is coming down the pike. Does the Nephilim have anything? Is there a tie to that scenario?
Well, I think there is. The tie, of course, and that's a great question. The tie, of course, is the modern UFO abduction phenomenon. And remember, these are not extraterrestrials. These are, in my opinion, fallen angels masquerading as such. And for those of you who are scoffing right now, may I suggest that you pick up a copy of Jacques Vallée's book, Messengers of Deception, and this is like, this guy's been in a lot longer than I have. In fact, the French man in the movie Close Encounters is modeled after Jacques Vallée. And these are not extraterrestrials. These are interdimensional beings posing as such to create a great deception. The mystery of iniquity, the secret of lawlessness. Even the elect would be deceived if that were possible. And we're back in those days where this is happening, where we're actually seeing it manifest. And these entities will take a man or a woman, and they will sexually take, either sometimes they'll have sexual relations with them, or the hybrid will have sexual relations with them, or what appears to be a hybrid, not fully human creature, will have sex with the man or the woman. Then we hear that the women are ovum mistaken from the woman's sperm from the men, and then it gets really strange. Sometimes people talk about implants being put in them. Oftentimes they are done through the nasal cavity, and they seat in the center of the brain. Other times they are in the leg, forearm, behind the ear, and in those places we can extract them. So the first thing that Dr. Roger Lear, our colleague and our surgeon, or I should say, it's his material. He's graciously let us use it. We're part of his team. He's not part of our team. I'm trying to make it sound right so people understand that he's autonomous and we're autonomous, and he's been gracious enough to give us the information, allow us to use the information, and he's been in every Watchers from the beginning. Well, Dr. Roger Lear has taken 16 of these implants out, so now we have a definitive chain of evidence that from a person who has been abducted. And, there's a couple of people, and I won't mention their names or give them any credence, who are insistent that their view is the only right view, and that all this is imaginary and we're just making this stuff up, but they never really examined the evidence. I've handled the implants. I've looked at them under a scanning electron microscope. We have a chain of evidence which is irrefutable, from the person who claimed to be abducted to the metallic implant under the skin, which before the operation is giving off a frequency of 317 gigahertz, which we believe is a clock speed. The fastest computer on the planet runs at about 3.5 gigahertz. This is running 100 times faster than the fastest computer that we know on the planet. Hello, what are we looking at here? These people need to wake up and start looking at the evidence, and if their paradigm needs to change, then so be it. We need to be flexible here because we're playing with people's lives. That's what we're doing. We're trying to tell people and warn people of what's coming. And if this is all demonic delusion that we're looking at here, well, then I'm going to go back to the drawing board, because I guess this implant, which is found in 16 different people, giving off a radio frequency of 17 gigahertz, must be an illusion too. So we're all crazy, and these people are right. And of course, that's absurd. When we look at the implant under a scanning electron microscope, Aaron, there are double-walled carbon nanotubes which do not exist in nature in these things. These are highly complex machines. We're not sure exactly what they do. We believe, because they're connected to the human nervous system, that in some way that they are changing the host DNA. They are prototypes of something that they have been working on literally for decades. This is not the first, implant in the chain. The first implant removal was done in 1999. So that's 14 years ago, essentially. And what's here, what we're looking at is real. We're not making this stuff up. And we find it alarming, because if this mark of the beast, and this is something that we've never been able to put together, and our colleague Doug Camp also arrived at the same conclusion that I did, and there was no collusion between either of us. He believes that somehow our DNA will be altered to create us into the seed of the serpent, the fallen one. And I couldn't agree with him more. And that's what these microchips, which I believe the implants found in these abductees, these are the prototypes which we will see eventually be couched as a DNA upgrade for us. And this, of course, ties right into the book of Revelation, all the ancient prophecy that's there. And, we're not in Kansas anymore. What can I tell you?
No, we're not. It's interesting that the scientists are manipulating the genome to try to come up with different cross types of animals, plants, but also transhumanism, LA, with people. Now,
Yes.
that really gets into a whole ball of wax of ethical questions, but they're doing it, and the result could be disastrous. I don't think that they ought to be messing with that, but they are. We know they are, and this just shows not only that, but there's another component that's outside the realm of science, such as these little implants that you're talking about that are found that aren't natural. They shouldn't be there. It's interesting that people are having these real experiences. 3 to 5% of cases of people who are experiencing this is against their will. It's associated with fear and with an evil, malicious presence, and they lose hours of time. I know I talked with Travis Walton, and he lost a week of time in his epic episode that was documented in Fire in the Sky, and it's incredible what he went through. But people are going through this all the time, and the answer is. The question is, why are we experiencing these things? Why are people seeing UFOs? Why is this phenomenon not going away? This is something that cannot be explained by natural or any kind of military experiments. This is something beyond that, L.A. What would you say to people looking for answers in this thing, who's really interested in this topic? What would you say to people who have these questions but really don't have answers for this? Is there an answer for these things, Ellie?
Well, there is, and it's a biblical answer. What we're looking at is supernatural beings who are attempting, like they did in the days of Noah, to create man in their own image. I mean, Jesus says it'll be like the days of Noah. And to take a truncated view of that, in my opinion, is incredibly dangerous. What has happened in the days of Noah is happening again now. We can argue about whether it's actual coitus between fallen angels and human beings or it's genetic manipulation. The bottom line, the end game is the same. There's a hybrid race which is real. It's not imaginary. It's not demonic delusion. There's a race being created. Satan is outnumbered 2-1. Chuck Missler has stated this openly in our Watcher series. Gary Stearman, the Prophecy in the News, holds to this. Tom Hoare holds to this. Doug Hamp holds to this. Rob Skiba holds to this. Of course, I hold to it. I know you do too. I mean, all of us are marching in lockstep. This stuff is alarming, and it's here, and it's not going away. It's real, burgeoning, and not going away. And the church needs to wake up and begin to understand the perilous times in which we live.
L.A., you have, in your previous Watcher series, you've documented all of this in Watchers 1 through 5. Which episode is this on? Is it 3 or episode 4?
Which one? The Dr. Lear?
Yes, Dr. Lear and the implants.
Well, he's in all of them. But it's a continual. Even in 6, he weighs in on the skull that we saw. So he's in all of the Watcher series, and we have a deal on the 5-pack thing, but that's the best deal, $80 for all 5, and I mean that's just a great deal, and you can see for yourself. We actually have a film of him removing one of the implants in surgery, and then that's the implant that we look at later on in the film. It's the same implant. We go down 40,000 times down. We're about 1,500 atoms wide, real small, real tiny. What do we see? Single wall, double wall nanotubes. Shouldn't be there. So it's just fascinating work.
I've watched the Watcher series, and Watchers 5 was the last one I saw. That was the last one you had produced. And I thought it was just amazing. A lot of this research that you were able to document, the interviews was staggering. And let me tell you that kind of the thing that spooked me, L.A., was the black-eyed children that you had documented on there, and the cases of people saying that was something I'd never heard about. I was really interested, and I had heard from other sources about this since then, and it has really a kind of a spooky phenomenon that's occurring with that. But you got all that documented. You have Watchers 1 through 5 and a package deal for $80. Watcher 6 will be out, and your book